Hello everyone, and welcome to another edition of the SimNFL show. Real talk about fake sports. I am your host and commissioner, you can call me Pierce. Today we are covering the penultimate week of the 2026 SimNFL season, the conference championships. If you're unfamiliar, come check us out on the website and on Discord, we would love to have you. So, we'll do stats and summaries for both of the conference championship games and preview next week's game, Super Bowl V. That's right, where the two best teams in the league converge to compete for the Super Bowl trophy, which is definitely a thing and not a copyright infringement at all or a trademark violation. But the big feature today is we're going to cover the Pro Bowl teams and the annual awards, so Players of the Year and Rookies of the Year, as well as Coach and GM of the Year. So we hope you will stick around for that. But first, let's go ahead and talk about the games. In the AFC Championship, Denver won their fifth conference championship in a row, defeating the Miami Dolphins for the second straight year. 37-28 was the final score. Jeremy Moreland opened things up for the Dolphins by returning the first kickoff to midfield. Then Hammonds found Lawrence Sanders for a 16-yard gain. That drive ultimately led to a David Genter field goal from 53 yards out. On Miami's next drive, Corey Brockers broke a 20-yard run, and then Hammonds found Ramirez for 20 yards to convert a 3rd and 14. Later, Hammonds to Sanders connected for an 11-yard touchdown, putting the Dolphins up 10-0. But Denver would respond with Thomas Gezik getting a 46-yard run, which led to a Peter London 3-yard touchdown run on a scramble to make it 10-7. Late in the second quarter, after the Broncos had added a couple more field goals to take the lead, Hammonds was intercepted by George Kent, and Kent returned the ball to the Dolphins' 21-yard line. That led to a Gezik touchdown run from 3 yards out, and the Broncos were up 20-10. Going to the second half now. In the third quarter, Miami drove down to the Broncos' 36-yard line, but Hammonds threw another interception to George Kent again to kill that drive and deny the Dolphins any points. Later, Denver converted a 4th and 5 when London threw to Peter Geese for an 11-yard gain. And then London ended that drive with another rushing touchdown, this one from 16 yards out. And Denver led 27-10. But Miami would respond, with Hammonds finding a Giafor for 21, and then Juan Mora carrying for a 24-yard gain. 4 plays later, Hammonds threw to Kenny White for a 10-yard touchdown to bring the Dolphins within 27-17. Then at the end of the third quarter, Peter London drove the ball to the Dolphins' 23-yard line. Denver kicked a field goal to get up to 30 points. In the fourth quarter, after another Miami field goal, Denver went 75 yards in 12 plays, including another 4th down conversion on a London run on 4th and 3. That drive ended with tight end Sobrevilla carrying for a 9-yard gain, and that increased the lead to 37-20 in the Broncos' favor. On the next drive, Hammonds went 5 of 6 for 68 yards. And then through a touchdown and a 2-point conversion to Kenny White. That made it 37-28 with just under 5 minutes to go in the game. Denver went 3 and out, so Miami was able to get the ball back. They drove to the Broncos' 40-yard line, but they were stopped short on a 4th and 8 with just over a minute left. Broncos ran out the clock to keep their streak alive with their 5th conference championship. Peter London was 28 of 36, 255 yards. Also had 111 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Thomas Gezik added a rushing touchdown and had over 120 yards from scrimmage. And then cornerbacks Keith Remy and George Kent had great games. Remy with 5 defended passes and George Kent with those 2 interceptions. Dean Hammonds was 27 of 45 for 332 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and those 2 picks. Kenny White was his chief recipient, 9 catches, 114 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that 1 2-point conversion. Jose Sola had a great game with 6.5 tackles for loss. William Redmond added 15 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 pass breakups. But it was not enough to end the Broncos streak. Broncos are going to the Super Bowl once again as champions of the AFC. On the NFC, the Rams defeated the Packers 45-9 to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl on the NFC side. In the first quarter, Avila passed to Scott Baldwin for a 44-yard gain, then threw a touchdown on a screen pass to Bruce Dawson from 19 yards out to start the scoring. Packers went 3 and out, and then Avila completed 5 of 7 passes on the next drive for 55 yards. That drive ended with a Scott Baldwin rushing touchdown from 8 yards out to increase the early lead to 14-0. Then in the second quarter, Philip Avila had completed 4 passes to his halfbacks on the same drive. Jake Duda had 2 catches for 30 yards. Dawson had 2 catches for 16 yards, including a 5-yard touchdown catch to make it 21-0. Green Bay would manage a field goal before halftime to go into the locker room down 21-3, but things did not improve for them in the second half. Early in the third quarter, Avila threw to Anthony Larry for 32. He converted a 3rd and 10 with a 10-yard pass to Scott Baldwin, and then threw another touchdown pass to Bruce Dawson from 2 yards out to increase the lead to 28-3. Nwachukwu would return the ensuing kickoff for Green Bay all the way to midfield. Garavay found his tight end, Romick Phelps, for a 21-yard gain, and then a few plays later for a 5-yard touchdown. Packers would miss the extra point, though, so the score would stay at 28-9. Later in the third, Avila another long pass to Baldwin for 39. Bruce Dawson would carry the ball for a 31-yard rushing gain, and then catch another touchdown pass from 1 yard out to increase the lead to 35-9. In the fourth quarter, Green Bay drove to midfield, but Jason Bumbarger stripped the ball from Nwachukwu, and the Rams recovered. And then on the first play from scrimmage, Scott Baldwin took a draw play out of the backfield and ran 55 yards for a touchdown. That made it 42-9. Rams put in their backups and won handily from there. Philip Avila, 31-52, 414 yards and 4 passing touchdowns. Scott Baldwin had 2 rushing touchdowns and 68 yards, plus 12 catches for 209 yards. Jason Bumbarger had a tackle for loss, a forced fumble, and 4 pass breakups in the game. Joseph Garibay was 26 of 46, 251 yards, and 1 touchdown to Romick Phelps. Phelps had 7 catches for 87 yards. And Trey McMillan had a couple passes defended for the Packers, but the Rams offense, especially that passing offense, absolutely overwhelmed them early and often. And it is the Rams going to the Super Bowl representing the NFC after winning the championship game 45-9. So that leaves us with the Broncos and the Rams. This is a repeat of Super Bowl II, which Denver won 42-35. Denver's first and so far only Super Bowl championship in their second year. These teams also met in Week 4 of this very season, with the Broncos winning that game as well, 26-21. So the Rams will be trying for their first championship on their second try. Broncos, this makes 5 in a row, and they'll be looking for their second victory. So, with that covered, we're going to talk about the Pro Bowl teams now. We're going to start with the AFC. So, these players are all listed by the number of votes they got. If you see a number in parentheses, that's how many Pro Bowls they've been to. If you don't see a number, it's their first selection. But we're including all past Pro Bowls in that. In early years, the teams were larger than they are in real life. We've adjusted that now to only the real life amounts. But an award given is an award earned, and so we're honoring all past Pro Bowls, even those in the past with especially large rosters. We had 24 users vote in the Pro Bowl, so I appreciate everyone for your participation in that. Okay, but without any further ado, let's get down to the names. For the AFC, for quarterbacks, we have Dean Hammonds repeating for his 3rd Pro Bowl. David Chopp is joining us for the first time, now from Kansas City. And Miguel Aguilera is getting his 2nd nomination as well. Running back was a very close race with 5 runners getting significant votes. Joseph Cale, our rushing leader, is getting his first Pro Bowl selection. Juan Mora, now with the Dolphins, is getting his 4th. Hugh Kahn of now Jacksonville getting his 2nd invitation. And then James Carter and Thomas Gazik were 1 vote each behind Khan. So again, a 5-player race, unusual for something like this, but 5 great performances in the AFC. Ultimately, it is Kale, Moore, and Khan who are selected for the AFC at running back. And at fullback, absolutely no surprise, it's Ryan Johnson. Also with a new team, same with Moore and Khan, but more of the same. Ryan Johnson, 5 trips in 5 seasons for him. At wide receiver, it was a dominating performance from our 4 nominees. Kenny White and Lawrence Sanders, both of Miami, are going. Donald Kelly of Buffalo getting his second trip, and then James Blank of Vegas making it a perfect 5 for 5 as a part of that prolific Raiders offense. At tight end, we have Jamie Ramirez of Miami going to his 3rd Pro Bowl, and then we have a new participant in Jaime Perez of the Jacksonville Jaguars going as the 2nd tight end for the AFC. On the offensive line, on the outside, we have Elijah Rader of Houston with his 3rd nomination, John Alfred of Cincinnati, and then Mark Bishop, also the 3rd time for him, going for the Indianapolis Colts. A guard, we have Roosevelt Penn of the Patriots repeating, as well as Ramon Diaz of the Chargers, and then Robert Garcia of the Houston Texans is getting his 1st nomination. And then at center, we have 2 new faces, Luis Chittenden of the Pittsburgh Steelers and Jorge Jacobs of the Chargers. Moving now to the defense for the AFC. At defensive end, we have Jaime Hernandez of the Colts, Brian Luddy, now of the Browns, and then Steven DiNardo of the Buffalo Bills as your representatives at defensive end. At tackle, we have Mark Tran of the Vegas Raiders, and then Jeffrey Jesse making his 4th appearance for the Baltimore Ravens, and then Tony McCura, his 1st trip as well, representing the Chiefs. At outside linebacker, we have a rare duo from Baltimore, Zach Ellington, converted strong safety, going at outside linebacker, as well as his teammate Luther Dew of the Ravens. And then Tim Aguilar of the Cincinnati Bengals is our 3rd participant at outside linebacker. Inside linebacker, we have Anthony Rizzi, formerly a Pro Bowl on the outside, moved to inside and is repeating that performance once again. He'll be joined by Dennis Jones of Las Vegas. In the defensive backfield, we have Razul Miller of the Chargers going along with Keith Remy of the Denver Broncos, Remy with his 3rd trip, and then 2 more new names, Alvin Anan of Buffalo and Jerry Moreland of Miami. At free safety, we have Sergio Collins of Tennessee and Matt Dwelly of Cincinnati joining the AFC Pro Bowl team. And then at strong safety, we have Ken Miller of the Cleveland Browns. And then we have a tie with Malik Boyd and Jan Miller, both out of the AFC West, getting invited as they tied for the 2nd and final spot. This is the 1st trip for Boyd and the 2nd for Miller. And then for special teams for the AFC, David Genter of Miami is going to his 2nd Pro Bowl. We have Manuel Bonilla of Cincinnati. And then Benedict DeLuna is going to his 1st Pro Bowl as a return specialist, his 2nd Pro Bowl overall. He has gone as a defensive player, as a cornerback in the past. Moving now to the NFC. At quarterback, we have Dakota Link. Can you believe this is his 1st Pro Bowl? But Link is nominated for the 1st time. Philip Avila makes it 5 for 5 for him. And then Jerome Morrison makes it, I believe, 5 for 5 for Washington quarterbacks as a group. Specifically for Morrison, this is his 3rd trip. At running back, we have Carl Frost of Green Bay, Kelvin Dupree of Carolina as well, and then Tremaine Craig is our 1st rookie this year invited to the Pro Bowl, representing the Detroit Lions. Congratulations to Craig. And then at fullback, it was a close race, but ultimately Oa Flaherty of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be representing the NFC at fullback. At wide receiver, unsurprisingly, it's Rams and Panthers heavily represented. Anthony Larry, his 3rd Pro Bowl. Both Russell Barnes and George Lovejoy of the Carolina Panthers will be attending, and then Walter Nwachukwu of the Packers fills out that 4th receiver spot. At tight end, it's a dual repeat from last year, with Phelps coming to his 2nd Pro Bowl and Slamba of the Rams going to his 4th. And then for the NFC offensive line, we have Christian Barraclaw playing at tackle this year, going to his 1st Pro Bowl. And then Paul Caruso with his third for Carolina, and Oscar Martinez his fourth for the Green Bay Packers. Guard Joseph Bordewick of San Francisco is going to his second. William Greer of Washington making his third appearance. And then a new name, Robert Smith of the Green Bay Packers. At center, it's going to be Randy Harrell of the Philadelphia Eagles for the second time. And then Steven Steck of the Seattle Seahawks, the center. It's still really hard to say, but congratulations to him for making his first Pro Bowl. Going now to the NFC defense, we have Malcolm Conley, second-year player out of San Francisco, going to his first Pro Bowl. And then Paul Munford of the Saints and James Kiger of Washington repeating for the Saints and Commanders, respectively. At defensive tackle, Neil Henry of Minnesota is going. David Bookheit of Green Bay for the second year in a row. And then Gary Wheeler of Seattle will be joining them. At the linebacker spot on the outside, we have Mark Soto of Philadelphia going to his third Pro Bowl. And then new nominations for Tommy Neves of Arizona and Brandon Schroeder of Seattle. Another name you might be surprised to see at his first Pro Bowl, but he has made it finally this year for the first time. Inside linebacker of the NFC, we have Christian Pilardi of Philadelphia and Eric Arredondo of the New York Giants. At cornerback, we have Donald Dingus, the second rookie to attend the Pro Bowl this year, the New York Giants. Luis Wong of the Buccaneers is going, the well-named Jason Smothers of the Dallas Cowboys, and Daniel Mendoza for Seattle, all participating at cornerback. And then the safeties, we have Leonard Vaughn of Philadelphia and John Gordon of San Francisco, repeating their Pro Bowl roles as free safeties. And then at strong safety, Ryan Reininger of Philadelphia and Matt Bass of the New York Giants will be going. As far as special teams, Jeffrey Leon is repeating for the Washington Commanders at kicker. Walter Garcia of the Giants gets his first punting nomination. And then Leonard Vaughn, his first nomination as return specialist, but same with DeLuna. He has gone in a previous year as a free safety and is also nominated this year at free safety. So he'll be pulling double duty on behalf of the Eagles. So congratulations to all players being named to the Pro Bowl. Thank you everyone for voting. Appreciate your participation. Some quick statistics for anyone who is interested. There are 86 players being nominated or being accepted to the Pro Bowl. 42 from each conference, plus the extra 2 as a result of ties. Representing 29 different teams, so most of teams will be represented. Oddly enough, 2 of the 3 teams not represented, playoff teams. So take of that what you will. Miami had the most players going to the Pro Bowl with 7 nominations this year. Carolina, Miami, and Green Bay are all sending 5 offensive players to the Pro Bowl, which is tops this year. And then for the most defensive nominations is Philadelphia with 4, sending 2 linebackers and 2 safeties as well. So, having said that, we are now going to move on to our awards for Players of the Year. This ballot had 22 votes, so again, I appreciate everyone who participated. We'll dive into each of these. Starting with Offensive Rookie of the Year. This one was incredibly close. It was, a 3-player race pretty much the whole way, and then first and second place were neck and neck. I ended up, the winner had the most first place votes, but also to make it fair, I kind of did a point system where I assigned 3 or 2 or 1 points depending on if a person was voted first, second, or third, and weighted it that way. And the first place came out 1 point ahead of second place. So an incredibly close race here, but congratulations to the Offensive Rookie of the Year for 2026, Scott Romero of San Francisco, the number 1 overall pick. Absolutely earning his keep in his very first year. So he was on 16 of the 22 ballots, including 8 first place votes, most of anyone. Romero this year, 277 for 493, a completion rate of 56%, just short of 2,900 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 14 picks. Also added 437 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on the year. Congratulations also to Tremaine Craig, who finished a close second. Craig was on, I had to do a little math, was on 17 ballots with 6 first place votes, 6 second place votes, and 5 third place votes. So very, very, very close behind Romero. And then Harrison Rodriguez, I also have to mention, was on 17 ballots, including 4 first place votes for him, 7 in second place, 6 in third place. So a very strong performance from Rodriguez as well. But ultimately, the trophy goes to Scott Romero of San Francisco. For Defensive Rookie of the Year, it was not nearly as close. 18 of the 22 first place votes went to the winner, who was Donald Dingus of the Giants. No surprise, Dingus set the league record with 18 interceptions this year as a rookie. He also added 74 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 9 pass breakups in addition to those 18 picks. Dingus was on 20 ballots, and he got 18 first place votes, so a shoe-in on there. Moving now to the veterans for Offensive Player of the Year. This one was also a slam dunk, and with a repeat, it is Dean Hammonds of the Miami Dolphins. Hammonds completed 69.7% of his passes this year for over 6,500 yards, 56 touchdowns to 20 interceptions. Hammonds was on 20 ballots, and he got 14 of the first place votes. So a huge groundswell of support for Hammonds to repeat as Offensive Player of the Year. On the defensive side, it was a little closer, but still our winner with a clean sweep is Donald Dingus of the Giants, a rookie winning Defensive Player of the Year. Again, 18 interceptions is no mean feat. It's a SimNFL record, so it's absolutely deserved. Dingus was on 18 ballots for Defensive Player of the Year, including 10 first place votes. Second place was David Boukheit of Green Bay, who was on 14 ballots and got 6 first place votes. So still a clear victory for Dingus, but I wanted to call out Boukheit for a strong performance. But yeah, this is something that will be remembered for a long time when a rookie won Defensive Player of the Year. Congratulations to him and to the New York Giants. Our Special Teams Player of the Year, also not a surprise, is Randy Espino of Washington. Now, maybe you're surprised that Leonard Vaughn was chosen as the Special Teams Pro Bowl player from the NFC, but Espino was selected Special Teams Player of the Year. I don't know. It is what it is. Espino had just about 1,500 return yards this year and 6 return touchdowns, 4 kickoff returns, 2 punt returns. Ultimately, Espino was on 19 of the 22 ballots that were cast. He had 9 first place votes and 8 second place votes, finishing just ahead of Leonard Vaughn, who also had 9 first place votes. They split him pretty evenly, but Vaughn had 5 second place votes and 3/3. Espino with 8 second place votes and 2/3 finished ahead of him. So congratulations to Espino and the Washington Commanders on being named Special Teams Player of the Year. The last award to be given out is the MVP, and just like last year, it is a repeat for Dean Hammonds. Again, this one was pretty clear. Hammonds was on 21 of the 22 ballots cast and 15 first place votes. I think second place had 3. So clear support for Dean Hammonds and his incredible play leading that Miami offense. My God, excuse me. So Dean Hammonds is your league MVP for 2026, the second year in a row. The final awards to be given out are Coach of the Year and GM of the Year. These ones going to real flesh and blood users for what they've done with their teams this year. Coach of the Year was pretty close and had 2 very strong vote getters. But the winner with 11 first place votes and 15 total ballots is Dearden of Tennessee, and well earned. He led his team to a 10-7 record with a roster that was ranked by some in the bottom quarter of the league. Tennessee went 7-0 in games decided by 3 points or less this year, and maybe some of that's luck, but a lot of it's coaching. So great job by Dearden pulling everything he could out of that roster and getting them to the playoffs for the franchise's 5th straight year. I do also want to shout out Nemo of the Chicago Bears, who was on 14 ballots compared to Dearden's 15 and had 6 first place votes to Dearden's 11. So a very strong performance from Nemo. Chicago won their last 8 games of the season, streaked their way into the playoffs, almost pulled off a crazy upset against the Commanders as a 7th seed. And remember, before I said that there were some rosters that didn't even have a Pro Bowler, and the 2 of them were playoff teams. Chicago was one of them. Chicago had a bunch of players finish just outside the margins or the groups that were going to get in, like Calvin Preston and Orlando DeBerry. But ultimately, with this roster of pretty good players, Nemo, again, made a huge winning streak, got his way into the playoffs, and really made some noise. So congratulations to Nemo for a great season for the Bears. Congratulations to Dearden of Tennessee for winning Coach of the Year for 2026. And our final award today is GM of the Year. This one was an absolute landslide. Of the 22 ballots, this person got 16 first place votes. So congratulations to Nuke Bomb of the Kansas City Chiefs for being named the GM of the Year. You can absolutely see why that team went from 6 wins to 12 in one season based on the talent that he brought in via trade, particularly David Chop and Ellswick as well. So doubling their win total based on a couple of key acquisitions, and the Chiefs still have their first round pick this year. So incredible GM job by Nuke Bomb, bringing in that talent, elevating the play of the Chiefs, and getting them into the playoffs and making that offense quite a force to be dealt with. So yeah, 17 ballots for Nuke Bomb, 16 of them first place votes. Big win for him. Congratulations to him and the Kansas City Chiefs. So that is everything I have for this edition of the SimNFL show. We'll see you next week for our coverage of the Soup Bowl, the 5th Soup Bowl in our league's history. And then we will continue to have the show during the off season. We'll be talking about progressions and retirement first off, and then of course we will shift to free agency as that kicks off, and then ultimately to the draft. So lots more still to come, including our final 2026 show next week. Hope you will stick around for that. But for right now, I will sign off with what I say to all users in all of our sims. Good luck and have fun.